Good morning, everybody. This is Zach's at it again. I'm your host, Zach Cooley, and I'm very happy to have with me the art teacher and teacher of the year at Spiller Elementary School, Miss Lindsey Pratt. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, you are a very special teacher to everybody at Spiller Elementary. As I believe you once said in something that I had you write at one point, most of the children are happy to see you because you are not one of the regular teachers that has a mandated curriculum for them to follow. So would you agree that for elementary school students, art is a place where they have a little bit more freedom than with other subjects?
Definitely. I think obviously I have SOLs that I'm supposed to teach by just like every other teacher, but I have a little bit more leeway with what I teach because I don't have a test and I don't have I guess somebody looking over my shoulder all the time. I hit the curriculum in my own way so that I think they're interested in it while also learning what they're interested in. And so I think that's pretty special because most subjects, they don't necessarily get that.
Mm-hmm. And you joined Spiller in 2019. You're fresh out of college, is that right?
I was. Yeah, it was the first place I've ever taught at.
And it was at Emory and Henry you went to school?
I did. I'm actually from Marion, and so I graduated from Emory, and then I applied here and was lucky enough to get hired.
And when I was a student at Spiller 30 years ago, it was a very family-oriented school, and having my daughter there, it is still very much a family unit.
Yeah, to be such a big school, it's funny, all the connections just in the 3 years that I've been here that I didn't know at first, but it's like, there's lots of teachers that have kids here, that have grandkids, nieces, nephews, all that stuff. And so I think that's really cool and really says a lot about the school.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's still, it's bigger than it was when I went. And the fact that it's still a family-oriented school, and there are still people. Well, I remember you, so I'm going to take care of your daughter the same way I took care of you, and that is very reassuring as a parent.
Yes, it is. It really is. And I'm amazed because, Spiller is probably at least the same size, if not bigger, than most of the schools I went to. It may not be quite bigger than my high school, but that's what I tell the kids. I'm like, you guys are going to a big school, and they all know each other, and that's really cool at such a young age.
Yeah. Well, we got pictures of all of them at the art show, and I think the rose is going to be featured in the paper with the article.
Wow. I should have gone home today, I think.
Yeah. Oh, is that right? Okay. Well, they were so well done. It was as though adults had crafted them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they turned out so well, and I didn't tell second grade this at the time, but we don't have a kiln here at Spiller. I don't have anywhere to put it, and so we have to use the air dry clay, and they were the first group that I used it with, and they did so awesome, and it was really the first time I've ever taught clay, so I was really, really impressed with how they did.
Mm-hmm. And it seems you said that you did the art show to try to get people interested in art, but it seems that every student there is an artist in his or her own way, because you go through the hallways. I didn't get to go down into the cafeteria, but you go through the hallways, and there's not a bad drawing anywhere.
No, they did wonderful. I was so impressed with them.
And as I've told you before, when we were doing virtual learning last year, I enjoyed, watching Bella do the art lessons, and it even inspired me to do, Disney characters through the 2 and 3 minute tutorials.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I actually talked to some parents at the art show that said the same thing, that they always were excited for art day because they did the projects with their students, and that made me so happy because I never thought that would be something that families would do together.
Well, see, that is part of your gift as a teacher. You reach not only the students but their families as well, and you have such a bright and vivacious and giving spirit that it's a gift to all of us. It truly is.
Thank you.
And a well-deserved honor, Teacher of the Year, in my opinion. Well-deserved.
Thank you. It's always so nice.
Well, was that a surprise to you at all? It really wasn't to me, but was it?
I had no clue that was what was happening. And it was, I think it kind of didn't hit me at first when Mr. Hoagland told me, but it was kind of a little bit bittersweet for me because my grandpa, who passed away about 2 months ago, he used to be a history teacher and a coach, and he actually, before COVID, he had come and helped me a little bit at school and loved helping me with the kids and meeting all of them. And so he was the one that would have been most excited, and so that part was a little bittersweet. But
he was there in his own way. His spirit was definitely there. You know, Don Chisler, and he was a history teacher and a coach. You say?
He was. Yep, he coached basketball, and I think helped with a lot of other sports, but basketball was his thing. And then he was also a cross-country runner, so we always had that to talk about. But,
and where did he teach?
He actually, I think he taught up in Richmond, Indiana. Yeah, and then he moved down and worked in Chesapeake, and then somehow ended up here at the State Hospital in Marion.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I moved all over the place.
Yep, and that's how you wound up. That's how you wound up here, then, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's a wonderful thing because we didn't have an art curriculum when I was at Spiller. In fact, the art room was the library at that time.
That's what I heard.
And so I think, I was never very interested in art, and I think maybe if it had been presented in a way that it is now, I might have been more interested as I fell into it late in life. And we had actually talked briefly at one point about gathering together maybe a class for handicapped people, disabled people, to do in art, maybe a YouTube channel. And I hope that's something we can collaborate on one day because...
we need to meet up and discuss how to do that.
Yeah, because I think there are a lot of people that would benefit from it. Because the thing about my having cerebral palsy and what makes it amazing to me that I can make a recognizable figure when trying to draw Mickey Mouse or Goofy or whatever, is that in cerebral palsy means mind shake. And so your muscles are in a constant state of spasm, which means your hands are not steady. So to be able to make a mark on a paper and it not look like zigzags and it look like a straight mark, that was a pretty big deal for me, particularly at my age, because the older you get, the shakier you get. That's typically how it goes. And I'm very fortunate that I don't have a lot of that. But that's typically the issue with people who have disabilities of my nature, is that there's not a lot of steadiness. So, a line. That's the reason I told you, like, to have items symmetrical or to have them, 2 ears the same size, you might as well forget it. You get it as close as you can get it. And if you can get it to halfway look like what you want it to, you need to be satisfied. But me being a writer and me being completely OCD, sometimes I get so frustrated with it. I'm never satisfied, and I just get mad and quit. But I always come back to it.
I can understand that. I'm a perfectionist, and that's been probably one of the things that I've struggled with the most teaching, especially elementary. Not that I don't really love it and love what I get to do with the kids, but I had always intended to teach middle school or high school, and learning to kind of let go and trust, that this is their artwork. It's going to look different based on each child and based off of their interests and their skills. And I think it's helped me as an artist because it's made me realize that it doesn't have to be perfect for me to still like it or enjoy it, but it's definitely a learning curve, being able to let go of that need to be right on everything and make sure that everything looks just perfect.
Yeah, because you want to pass on to the kids that whatever they do is perfect, so that they can. Their imperfections are part of what makes it perfect.
That's right. Well, and I think one of the things I saw that I really enjoyed was a lot of times kids will ask me, like, do you like it? And normally I just say yes, but I've been trying to get in the habit of saying, do you like it? Because it really doesn't matter if I like it. What matters is that they like it, that they're preference.
Yeah, but you need, as if you're going to be an artist, you need that validation from somebody that's in the field. So, if they get that button from you, which I'm sure that you always try to give, then they feel very good about what they've done. I know Bella does. If she brings something home and says that Miss Pratt bragged about it, it gives her, an extra bit of smile. So, so one of the things, and I understand why Spiller has done this, and I think that it's a clever idea. But one of the things that bothered me is, like, the items that were to be judged, they were to be judged by how much money they brought in. And you could have 100 great pieces, but if one person brings in $100 that the other 99 can't bring in, that one's going to win. And I understand that those are funds to be raised for the playground and book themes, which Spiller is great about doing, and I'm all about supporting that. But to have a piece of art judged should be based on its artistic quality, I think. So.
Well, and that could be blamed on me because this is my first year ever doing an art show. I had wanted to do one the other 2 years I've been here, and then COVID kind of stopped that. And my plans originally were to do like 3 different categories, like best in show, maybe best craftsmanship, and then another category or just personal favorite or something.
Right.
I wanted to do it throughout the whole school, but I think I had somewhere around 1,500 different pieces.
Right.
Because it was definitely over 1,000. And the more I thought about it, I was like, there's no way that I can, to start with, make it easy enough for people to vote on their favorites.
Right.
And then, so that's why we did the teacher's pick. And I may try and do something next year where I do, like, you can vote on your favorite and you don't have to put in any money for it, which I would have loved to do, but I'm also, like I tell the kids, I do get quite a bit of money for art supplies, but when I have almost 700 kids, the money I get doesn't always go as far as I want to.
Sure.
And especially, like, eventually I would like for us to have a kiln so that they can actually use clay and not just model magic. And then, like, paint, we always going through paint and watercolor. And so I was trying to find a way to bring in a contest because they always like having a contest. And also, even though I think for anybody to lose, I think it's also a good learning curve that you can't always be the best at everything, but you can still do a good job and be acknowledged for your work.
Yeah, and be and be a participant, and take pride in participating in the program.
And that's what I tried to tell all the kids when I told them, the teachers are picking their favorites. And I said, I don't want you to think that you did a bad job if you didn't get picked, but your teachers have an opinion just like I have an opinion. And if you ask 5 different people, we would all pick 5 different things. So it's like, it's not saying that you're a bad artist. It's just the teachers are picking their personal favorite, and you still did a great job, and you're still part of the art show.
Right.
And I think that has been good, and they've all so far seemed to handle it really well. And that's actually what I'm doing right now, too, while we're talking, is going through trying to figure out who all the winners were by grade and overall winner and all that stuff, so that hopefully either tomorrow or Wednesday I can let them know who all got what.
Fantastic. Now, how did you choose with all those pieces, 1,500 pieces? I was going to ask you if you thought there was any particular one that stood out in your mind that you would give artistic merit awards to, but with 1,500 pieces, there's no way you could make a choice like that.
No,
but
I could probably do like a top 50. I don't know that I could be a top 1. That's why I let teachers pick to start with, because I'm a little biased.
Right. Right.
But then also I was like, I didn't want that responsibility with every kid. So it was, I definitely have all of my kids are talented, but some of them are, you can tell, just naturally artistically gifted.
Right.
And normally there's at least one in every class that is just naturally gifted. But then I've told a few teachers, it's kind of funny because normally if I have 3 naturally gifted artists in a class, the rest of them are obsessed with art too. It's like you've got to have those few to really pull the other ones in.
Right.
And then you've got those few, the whole class is really into it. And so I have a 5th grade class that's that way, and they're just wonderful to have. And they've got so much artwork. And I told their teacher, I was like, I'm glad I'm not picking between them, because you have so many that did just a great job.
Mm-hmm. And, with a lifetime of being associated with Spiller, this is the first art show I have ever been privy to, and I thought it was an amazing thing, an amazing element that you brought to the school. But you told me your ultimate goal was to get children interested in art. Do you believe that art show was a success?
This is just my opinion, so others could disagree with me. I think it was. We had, let me check my email really quick and make sure I'm not telling you wrong. We had, for the art show, a rough estimate in attendance was 480 people were here.
And that is fantastic.
Yeah, to be the first time we've ever done this, I was so happy.
Right. And I think it was a resounding success, because, as I said, there was not a bad piece in the bunch. Every piece was good.
Mhm. Yep, they just did a great job.
But of course, I'm biased, and I think my baby did the best. But
well, I did feel bad, because I know that every parent wanted their child to be in the cafeteria, and I told all the kids, I'm like, if you didn't get it this year, as long as you're not a 5th grader, you've got next year and the year after and the year after to hopefully get in there, because I know that everybody is biased towards their baby or their nephew, but I was really proud of how well it went.
Well, I'm glad that Bella wasn't in the cafeteria, because that lift never works when I get on it. It didn't work. It didn't work 30 years ago when they first put them in, because I was a student there and there were some others in wheelchairs. They didn't work right then. And every time I've gotten on it since I've been a parent in that school, I've gotten stuck in midair. So I said, whatever's down there, if Bella's got anything down there, take a picture of it and bring it back up here and let me see it. I'm not getting on that lift. I'm not going down there. So I was glad that everything that Bella had was up on the hallway bulletin board so that I could see them. So let's And I'm gonna close this out here, and we're gonna talk about some of these pieces that you had Bella do.
Okay.
Now the clay rose, as I said, the rose is made out of clay. And I'll mention that you said you don't have a kiln, and a kiln, for those who don't know, is a pottery oven, a clay oven. And I just found that out yesterday by working a crossword puzzle. So
really?
I literally have known that maybe 24 hours. So
well, it was perfect timing.
Yeah, had we talked about it, had we talked about it any sooner, you would have had to explain to me what a kiln was, because I did not know. Let's begin with the clay rose. What was your idea for those, and how did that come about?
So I'll be honest here. For most art teachers, doing clay and painting are like the dreaded days.
Oh, yeah.
Not because you don't enjoy it, but just because you have the potential to just have a horrible class. Things can go really wrong. It can be major cleanup. And so, like I said, I had never done a clay or model magic project with any of my classes.
Yep.
And so second grade for me this year is probably, as a group, one of the I will probably the best listeners and the most willing to follow directions and just pay attention and all that stuff. And so I thought out of all my groups, they would be the best to start with and kind of get an idea for how it was going to go. And so I just my teacher that I had done my student teaching with my senior year at Emory, she had done a similar project with clay. Mm-hmm. And it's actually, this is what I've told all the kids, it's a very simple project as long as you follow all the directions like you're supposed to. And so the cool thing with the model magic is that it starts out white, and then all we did was we separated two pieces, a smaller piece for the leaves and then a bigger chunk for the rose. And then you literally just color it with Crayola markers. And then they have to work on mixing and blending and twisting to get the color that they want. And sometimes they might have to add more colors to it. And then after you have it the rose color that you want, you twist it or roll it into like a snake shape. And then you flatten it out and you roll it up into a rose. And then all you do is you just kind of pull the petals out so that it actually looks like it's opening up. Mm-hmm. And the last thing you do is you go ahead and add your green to the small things for the leaves. You mix it, you pull it, twist it, all that stuff, and then you make your leaf shape. And so all of those things that have to do with clay, like mixing it, pinching it, rolling it, flattening it, all those are art SOLs that they have to work on. And so it was a really good exercise, and a lot of them will tell you that their hands were tired after they were done. But they all turned out so beautiful, and it also works on, like we talked about, you can use green to make your leaves, but you could also use blue and yellow that would make green. And the same thing with pink. You could use red and then just not add a lot of it, and it would mix in with the white. Or if you wanted purple, you could use blue and red. And so it worked across a lot of different, I just thought it went so well with all of them. A lot of different art, I guess a lot of art vocabulary in some ways. But like it talked about, or we worked on mixing colors, we worked on even just the way your hands work and building hand strength, because a lot of students don't necessarily have the fine motor skills they should, like gripping or tearing or pinching. All of that stuff is, a lot of them have to be taught how to do it.
Yep. All that stuff is still stuff that I work on in occupational therapy.
Yep. And we see more of an issue with it probably in pre-K and kindergarten, but even for a lot of my second, third, sometimes even fourth and fifth, it's something that we have to work on to really have it to where they're at the level they should be.
And it's now it's obvious to me that Bella chose pink because that's her favorite color, but hers was almost an orchid shade. You know? And we were just so impressed with what she'd done. Now we come to a snowy painting of there's black trees with snow and then the moonlight.
Mhm. That one was kind of the same thing. I like doing anything with color mixing because it just kind of serves as a good reminder for them. Most of the time by second grade and up, they know that any time you add white to a color, it makes it lighter, but it was still really good for them to work on that. And we talked about, you start with your white and then you add the blue, and so they had to work on mixing it, but not over mixing it, because if they over mix, then they lose their moon.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did that. We broke up into two classes. They did the moon and the blue background in one class, and then it had to dry. And then the next class we did the trees and the snow, and we also kind of, the kids always think this is kind of fun. We used the paintbrush to do the trees, and then you flip it over and use the end of the paintbrush to do the dots for the snow. Mm-hmm. And so it ended up being really fun, and they all, even though they all have the same project, kind of like with the roses, they all turned out totally different, but they all looked really good.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. They did a great job on them, and everybody, that seemed to be the one that stuck out to most people was the snowy trees and the moon in the background.
Well, for me, I think it was the rainbow, because I'm a fan. Red is my favorite color, and I'm a fan of real vibrant colors. So you have the rainbow, which is like the contrast to the snowy, in the thick of it storm, and then you see the rainbow, which is the other side of the storm after it clears up. You still have the clouds, but then you have the brightness of the rainbow, and the blue sky is the background.
Yeah, I liked that one too.
Yeah.
That was kind of the same thing. I've worked with every class about, the colors of the rainbow, because it really helps them remember how to mix colors. And it's a good thing for them to know, because they're going to need it all the way up into high school. Mm-hmm. And so we had worked on that one, and we used oil pastel for it, which is what we made the rainbow and like the rain droplets. And then they got to use watercolor, which they all love. And so they get a little bit messy with oil pastel, and then they get to use watercolor. So it was really fun, and we watched some rainbow videos and did some songs and stuff. So it went really well, and it was one of those spur of the moments. I was like, okay, I think I'm going to try this. We're going to do something like this, and I had seen something similar, and they all seemed to enjoy it. So it's probably what I'm going to keep doing for a while.
All right, and we've got two different variations of the American flag. You've got one that has 4 blocks of blue with 4 strips of horizontal red spaced out, so you can have the white stripes in the middle, and then 6 big stars in the center. And then you've got another one that's like a plaid pattern with blue squares in the center and stars up the side. And Bella wrote "God Bless America" and put a red heart, filled in red heart, which I think was her personal touch. I'm not sure if everybody put that or not. So
that one is, we did those for Veterans Day. Oh. And yeah, so those worked out really good. But that was the one with all the different pieces of paper. We talked about collage, which is when you take different things, pictures or colored paper, and you find a way to put them together and make your own artwork.
Right.
And so with that one, literally all I did was I said, we're celebrating Veterans Day soon. We talked about what that was, if they knew any veterans. And then I said, these are what I have. I have stars for you. I have some stripes. I have some squares. And then we talked about how to use our materials. And then everything they did past them was up to their own artistic opinions and what they wanted and their ideas. And they all turned out beautifully. But yeah, everything she did on that one, that was all her and her artistic process.
Wonderful, wonderful. And with the ones with the 6 stars in the middle, is that the same thing? Same kind of process?
I believe so. I have to go out and look, but I think it was. I'm trying to remember which project that would have been.
Oh, that's all right. It looks as though it's very individualized, and then we come to this very Van Gogh looking painting of there's a moon and streaks of gold in the sky, and there's
smaller picture.
purple and blue houses, and looks like a mountainside on the left, and some grass, just some stripes of green for grass.
Yes. So that one I actually cannot take credit for. That was a day, I think that was one of the days I had to be out, and I had found this really cool video about Van Gogh and kind of just doing an elementary interpretation of his artwork. And so Miss Trinity Hall, she was in here that day with them, and even though I kept most of them from when I was in here, I had to keep that one because they turned out so good, and I kept some for the same reason with third grade, that they were so cool, and I liked the texture and the colors, and it just really shows their own, I guess, abilities. So, like I said, I can't take credit for any of it because I wasn't even there that day. But they were really, really good and very, very creative and very unique. So that was just a video I had found online, and so they learned about Van Gogh and his painting of the Starry Night, and I really liked it. It's definitely one I'm going to keep using when I have subs, because Miss Hall had said that even some of my students who struggle to stay focused or stay on task sometimes, that they had done a really good job of that too.
All right, so to close out, can you give me any particular strengths that you believe that Miss Della has? Because I know she has an artistic talent.
Well, honestly, I always feel I always have a hard time trying to narrow a person's strengths down to one thing. So one thing I always come back to with Bella is just, and I don't know if this is necessarily artistic, but it can cross over into her art. She just always has such a kind and, I think, calming presence. She's one that I know is always going to come in and be polite, and she's going to work, and everybody that I've ever seen around her has always enjoyed being around her, and I think just her calming presence is really nice to have. And I think that's great, because I have to, sometimes I have to fuss at students because they're not very calm, and so for her to be just a calming presence is really nice.
Well, that makes me tear up. That makes me very proud. She is the great joy of my life, as I'm sure you know.
Yes.
And I'm very proud of her achievements. Thank you for cultivating that and bringing all that out. And it's been really, really nice talking to you over this time. And look forward to hopefully collaborating again.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.